Hi everyone, and welcome to Mahi Matters, New Zealand's employment market update. And it's great to be back after a few weeks break. And today we are talking about future-proofing your career. Are you being outpaced by AI? Now, why is it essential for your career to adapt to the world of AI? So, this week we're joined by Janet Tuck, career planning specialist at Career Clinic, to unpack the huge impact that AI has had on reshaping the workforce, and if your current skill set is making you obsolete without you even realizing it. Also, on today's show, the latest unemployment stats were released, actually a few weeks ago. What do they reveal about the state of the New Zealand market? We'll explore our latest job opportunities across New Zealand. And lastly, we'll reveal our new social media insights on job satisfaction, where we ask you if you think your employees feel valued. Okay, so jumping right into it, a survey earlier this year revealed that 86% of Kiwis are already using AI at work in their day-to-day activities. With AI now woven into everything from communication and data analysis to decision making and automation, it's no longer just a tool for tech teams, it's reshaping entire industries. As the pace of change accelerates, professionals are faced with the critical question: evolve or risk falling behind? Knowing how to stay relevant has never been more important. So, is your career prepared for the future impact of AI? To discuss this further, we're joined today by Janet Tuck, career planning specialist at Career Clinic. Welcome, Janet.
Hi, Shannon. Thanks.
Well, it's great to have you here. Perhaps if you can start by telling us a little bit about yourself and the Career Clinic.
Yeah, I'll go back a little bit further than just yesterday. I started out in teaching and have done quite a lot of community development over the years, so quite engaged with a lot that was going on in the community and did some actually mentoring. Started off doing a lot of mentoring with my kids' friends when they got to sort of teenage years, funnily enough. One thing I worked out though many years ago, my interest really lies in helping people make best decisions that they can for themselves. And that has become now more involved with work, teams, and organisations as well. So I'm very strategic in terms of how I work. So I like to help people think strategically about themselves. My company, Career Clinic, offers, as you said, career management and development services and workplace coaching and support. That includes everything from job search strategy, perhaps interview coaching, outplacement support. We do a lot of leadership coaching and development and professional supervision. So there's quite a lot on the table, but it's all relevant, as you can see, from helping people make good decisions. I sit on a couple of boards. I'm based in Auckland. Clients come from all over New Zealand. I have some overseas clients. They pretty much come from every age and stage. People often think career stuff sits in the high school age, but really these days there's so much happening in the workplace. There's a lot of development. So it's students right through to executives sit on my client list. And I love my work because it makes a real difference. People come back to me often, time and time again, every 2 or 3 years if they're changing jobs or want some help with something. They come and have a talk about things. I particularly enjoy young people who really don't have a clue what they're doing and that they just need some help to get going, or people who are quite motivated in that middle stage of their career wanting to get into leadership jobs. So all of that stuff's, it's my bread and butter.
Excellent. Now, of course, today we're talking about AI, and it's quickly become a major force in today's workforce. In what ways do you think it's most dramatically transformed how we work?
Oh, wow. Where do we start with that one? I think people would be really surprised if they sat down and took a good look at how pervasive AI already is in the day-to-day life. It's quickly transforming the ways in which we work at home and at work. So we use it to help us in a variety of ways. Lots of people now have virtual assistants in their homes, the Siri and on their phones, Alexa. We get recommendations for what to watch based on our viewing history. We use navigation systems. We use chatbots on websites. In the work specifically, there's been a lot of tools that are now being adopted for use. Probably ChatGPT is the most well-known. The adoption rate is really fast. When you look at the rates and the graphs, it's taking over the world really quickly. Talking to clients in the last wee while, because I've been doing a lot of redundancy work and different things, these are the ways they've told me they're using it. They're using it to, let me think, help with writing and editing material at work, They're getting answers to questions. They're creating content for articles, blog posts, writing reports for them. They're using AI to translate languages in real time, which makes that whole international stuff a lot more accessible. They're using it for summarising meetings, sitting in on meetings so that they don't have to be there, that's an interesting one. Creating sales and marketing campaigns for organisations, collecting and summarising information, coaching, making bookings. You're using it for virtual assistants. Even my GP a few months ago asked me when I went to see my GP, she said, do you mind if AI records the main points from our conversation so I don't have to type it up? I was absolutely fascinated, and it came out with an excellent report, bullet points. So I just think as it becomes more accurate and effective and easier to use, we're going to see it even more pervasively right throughout our environment, and particularly in the workplace. So it's used a lot.
Yeah, absolutely. It's quickly become just part of the way that you do things, and it's funny how quickly you rely on it as well. Just last week,
Yes.
I think it turned on me a little bit, and things that were working weren't. And actually, I think I was taking a reference or something, and I will get it to transcribe, as you said. And this one, I probably could have typed it out just as quickly. It wasn't that big, but I was just like, no, it should do this for me. So it ended up taking me 3 times as long just because there were a few glitches, but it was because I'd got so used to going, oh, I can just do this and that's easy. But
Yes. Yeah.
yeah, quickly become dependent.
It's interesting for me in a client session recently, they only had a quick hour and we had to get through a lot. And I used ChatGPT quickly to generate a list of skills for their CV, because I thought I'm not going to write them out in an hour. We've got the time is too short. So we generated that, and then we rewrote it in their language, of course, but it was a really good starting point. So it's really useful in a lot of ways.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, I guess there is always a flip side to things, and some people can feel wary of that or worried about if they're being replaced. But I guess, how do we know if our current skill set is already becoming obsolete? And are there specific industries or roles that are perhaps more vulnerable to AI than others?
That's an interesting question. Skill sets becoming obsolete. I'm surprised at how many people can't actually describe their skill set past the basics or past just specific industry knowledge. So I guess the starting point for answering your question is your skill set becoming obsolete. I would go through your job description and ask yourself what from your job description could be automated, what could be done easily by a computer or machine, because there's a good chance in the next wee while, if not already, people are looking at how to get it done more efficiently by a machine. Um, you might want to think about whether you need some help to come up to speed with new technologies. If you notice yourself regularly going to some younger people in your organisation to ask them, well, how do I use this and how do I use that in an organisation? And when it's part of your the tools that you've got access to, then you might be considering, am I actually up to date enough with my skill set, or do I need to upskill a bit more? I would watch the job market, particularly read job descriptions, particularly jobs that sound a little bit like what you're doing now, but take a look at the skills they're looking for within those job descriptions and ask yourself, does that sit in your skill set currently? Because if it doesn't, there's a gap. You need to think about that. Are there new requirements that you don't know anything about? Recently, one client said to me they were applying for a job in retail, a retail job, and the first question that was asked for them in the interview is, how much do you know about AI? What is your experience with AI? And they were shocked. They were quite surprised because they're an older person changing, or they've been made redundant. So there are a lot of ways that you can check out whether your skills are obsolete. Just use the tools you've already got and take a good long hard look at those things. The second part of your question, industries or roles that are more vulnerable. Anything that can be easily automated or use basic or repetitive tasks, these are vulnerable because you can see it's very easy to get a machine to use them or a computer to use them. So I would say any role that looks at using admin tasks, so that's data entry, payroll, bookkeeping, scheduling, customer support at a basic level, so help desk sort of support. Any analysis, basic level analysis, could easily be taken over and is vulnerable. Routine finance, so bank tellers, claims processors in insurance. Some of the creative roles within the creative space, I think copywriting, we've already seen that in the film industry is starting to come in, translators, graphic designers. There are also industries with structured tasks or careers and jobs with structured tasks that combine creative and human elements. So helping people in their jobs do their job better. So if we think of teachers, lesson planning can start to be done and information gathering and that sort of thing. I think lower level software developers, certainly that's at risk. Marketing analysts, lawyers, contract reviews at the lower level. We're seeing a lot more of it being used in healthcare. So the services that would be provided by a human being are now being provided by AI. And manufacturing and transportation, there's quite a lot of examples. So I think when we ask specific industry roles that are more vulnerable, some are more vulnerable, but I think everything will be impacted over the next few years. We're not going to escape and think we're safe because of where we're sitting.
Yeah, and I guess that safety is a key word in there. Do you think that this idea of being replaced by AI is truly valid, or is it more about how AI is changing the direction of work rather than eliminating it altogether?
I think at this stage, it seems that what's coming in now is more collaborative ways of working is happening. So AI and people together. So as you say, you're using it for your work, I use it in my work. People are working together and using it as tools become available. However, as AI itself learns more and advances, the tasks that can be done will become more significant. And so that we creep into different roles. So where we think we just use it for this, in 2 years' time, it might be a bit more and a bit more and a bit more. And at that point, whole job types, I think, will disappear quite quickly. People will be replaced because AI is cheaper to run. And as a manager in a manufacturing company said to me, well, I can run them 24/7 and I'm not having to they don't have meal breaks. And, so he was definitely thinking about production line and what that would look like. It's been suggested, of course, that there'll be a whole new range of jobs that will appear. The whole new range, we don't have titles for them now, but they will come on board. And that will be true to some degree. But the changes will leave many behind because they will need new skills and they may not have the capacity to learn them. And this is when there'll be significant risks, I think, to society as a whole. It's a big question you've asked here, but I think people derive a strong sense of purpose and meaning when they do work. There's a kind of dignity associated with doing an honest day's work. And if whole large sectors of society can't get work anymore, what will they do? And these conversations are being asked everywhere at the moment. It's quite a big challenge ahead for all of us. So replaced by AI, not at the beginning, I don't think, but as it comes up to speed more, I think we'll see more and more people replaced. And you asked the question, is it changing the direction of work rather than eliminating it? Well, I think at the moment it's changing. I think it will whole sectors will disappear.
And I
It's a
think
big question.
we ask the big questions here on Mahi
It's
Matters.
great.
I think part of that is, as well as you say, it can be a shift. So, lots of people adopting it, finding it really helpful.
Yes.
And part of that is about being able to free up time for other things. So, it might reduce the administrative burden or repetitive tasks, things like that you said. So it can free you up. So it's about being able to shift in there. But as you say, not all roles or industries will have that opportunity as well. So, yep, bigger question to ponder on. And what practical steps or advice would you give professionals to take today to help them stay ahead of AI in the future and make sure that they're not left behind?
Yeah, that's a really good question. Probably two aspects to answer it. I think people often ask me, well, what should I upskill and what should I do if I want to upskill? I haven't got enough qualifications on my CV. I think I'm often advising, particularly older people, start playing with a range of AI tools. Get your kids to get you logged in, get you sorted out, and then start playing, because that's a really good way to start coming up to speed and feel comfortable with the new technologies as they come. And there's some really great tools out there that are a lot of fun to use. So get familiar with them. ChatGPT is the obvious one. Get out there, give it tasks to do, and see how comfortable you feel with it. I think that when I said focus on learning, I think upskilling is a really good idea, but don't get in mind that you have to do a whole degree course to upskill. There are quite a few micro credentials or these shorter courses that are still NZQA approved. It'll give you that credential to go on your CV, but they're just a short course. I myself am just doing one called Digital Skills for the Workplace through Academy X, and it's great. It's going to be really interesting, introducing me to all sorts of tools that are in use. So I would access things that are available and start getting inquisitive and start playing, and then you'll become more efficient and start using some of the tools as you learn them in your workplace and just see how that lands, or ask other people what they're using and get them to show you. That's new learning. But in terms of your own career, to keep ahead of things, I think when I mentioned before about people not knowing their skills currently, I think it's wise to get very clear about your existing transferable skill set beyond the industry specific skill. And that includes all those so-called soft skills, because it seems to be shown now that those are the critical skills that are necessary often to make things work in this new environment, and they've often been a little bit overlooked, but I think they will come into their own significantly. And some of those sit within the creative space, so there's new opportunities there. They will be really important for keeping you relevant and useful, and they will take you into new jobs. You also have to be able to explain what you have to offer related to those skills. So imagine, what would an employer get if Shannon was applying for a job? What would that employer get? Who are they going to get? What sort of difference will it make having Shannon on my team? And so telling that story and practicing that story, it will keep you ahead. It will keep you visible, but it enables you to give a whole new language around yourself that sort of sells yourself into that space. It
I
also
think
will
that's
make it.
really
Sorry,
key
go.
for I think that's really key for, particularly for Kiwis who aren't so good, or it's not comfortable for us to feel like we're giving ourselves a rap or talking about ourselves. So to get into that space and go, what are my strengths? What do I have to offer? And to be able to, as you say, tell those stories and
Yeah.
really make an impact, and kind of put your put your best efforts forward to make it
Yes.
easy for people to choose you or to see the value.
Yeah.
Um,
It
just
also
interesting.
helps you to identify new job opportunities too, because sometimes people get completely locked into a job title. But as soon as you take the title away and just define yourself around this is what I'm good at, this is what I do really well, and this is the difference I make, there's a whole new raft of jobs that will be open for you to look at, and you'll get through to interviews because you're much clearer about who you are and what you bring, and yeah, you get more opportunities that way.
Yeah, absolutely. Just going back to what you were saying about, just giving things a go and trying it out, and it can be quite fun learning, or
Yeah.
making mistakes, or seeing the mistakes that AI makes along the way as well.
Yes.
It's interesting. I've definitely noticed my social media seems to have given up on me doing a 28-day wall Pilates, but now it wants me to do a 28-day AI transformation. So who knows? Maybe I'll take them up on that.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people are quite scared of the future. Older people particularly, are concerned past that midpoint, wherever you put that midpoint at. Um, People are concerned about whether they still will be able to make a livelihood. And I do think we do need people still, and we do need people with good skills. So I wouldn't be giving up the game too quickly. It's a little bit like probably 6 years, oh, it might have been 10 years ago, someone was saying, oh, we won't need accountants anymore. And all of a sudden, universities are finding it hard to fill courses in accountancy. But the wake up call has happened now in the last couple of years, where there's a shortage in certain areas in accountancy. So it's very easy to predict negative, jump forward way too far.
Mm,
Just look at tomorrow. Just look at next year. What do you need to make the next step in your career, in your journey? So, what can I learn? What can I develop? How do I stay adaptable? And that's not resisting the change. Treat it a little bit playfully. Enjoy the journey, because a lot of these tools are really fun to play with. And yeah, start filling your own skill gaps, talking to people, and treat it like a entertainment rather than a learning exercise that you have to do.
sure. Yeah. Oh, well, thank you so much for that. Some excellent advice there and insight. If you would like to speak with Janet and find out more, the details for Career Clinic are on your screen. I'm sure she'll be happy to hear from you.
Yeah,
Uh,
love to.
Thanks so much for coming on, and let's take a look at what the polls have been doing. Okay, so unemployment rises. Are we letting the engine stall? Now, I had prepared this segment a few weeks ago, but the last of the winter lurgy has wiped out our guests for the past 2 weeks. So apologies that the unemployment stats are not quite hot off the press. As you will know, New Zealand's unemployment rate has risen to 5.2%, the highest we've seen since 2020. And while that result was slightly better than many expected, there are some important caveats. Auckland, in particular, is feeling the strain, with unemployment hitting 6.1%, the highest of any region in the country. Now, I've said it before, Auckland is the engine room of Aotearoa's economy, generating nearly 40% of GDP. But right now, it seems that we're not doing enough to support its recovery. Infrastructure challenges, housing pressures, and a lack of coordinated investment are holding the city back. So, if we want national productivity to lift, Auckland has to be firing on all cylinders, not left to idle. And the official unemployment rate also masks the real picture. It doesn't count people who've dropped out of the labour force, those who have headed overseas, gone back to full-time study, or given up on their job search altogether. So meanwhile, for those still applying, competition is fierce. SEEK's June quarter data shows an average of 479 applications per job ad. 479. That's nearly 5 times higher than 2022's average of 100 per ad. So, yes, things may be starting to stabilise, but volumes remain significantly elevated across all sectors and regions. So that's overwhelming for applicants and for the employers trying to process them. At Frog Recruitment, we've seen that shift firsthand. So we've adapted our processes. So when applications are high, which is pretty much always, we notify candidates that they're still being considered, even if responses are delayed. So it's a simple change, but it makes a big difference for people navigating a tough job market. So while the latest stats paint a worrying picture, they also raise a bigger question. Are we letting the engine stall when we should be stepping on the accelerator? If we want to turn this around for the whole country, Auckland needs more than commentary. It needs coordinated, sustained action. So let's take a look at this week's hot jobs. Okay, now this week's latest job opportunities are presented by the 2025 New Zealand Employment and Salary Trends Report. For the latest trends and salary information, visit www.frogrecruitment.co.nz to find out more. And it is great to see the Senior Policy Analyst role being featured for Wellington. I know that this is one of many, so fantastic to see things heating up in the capital and more movement, particularly in the public sector, which has really had a tough time over the last couple of years. So great to see more roles coming through there. We've also got a family law solicitor and again policy analysts in general in Wellington. Feel free to look at our jobs board on our website to see what other opportunities are coming up for you. That's it for today's show. It's great to be back and we'd love you to join us again next week. See you then.